Hey guys, hello, hello, hello. I am live, and let me see if I can pull the feed up right here. Great to see you guys. Happy spring. The weather is gorgeous out. I do mean gorgeous. Let's see here. I'm having a hard time pulling up the feed. Ho hum, ho hum. Let's see. All right. Thought I would pull it up on my computer, but it always seems to come up faster when I look it up on my phone. Why is that? I do not know. So let me just look here. All righty. Okay, there I am. So it shows me live here, but I can't get it to show live on my computer. Isn't that crazy? How does Facebook work? It's a mystery. Yep, still not showing up in the feed. Anyway, guys, happy Thursday. Great to see you. Say hello in the comments when you arrive. I'll make sure the text has gone out. And let's see here. See if it's coming up yet. Still not on the computer. Why doesn't it show this? It's the strangest thing. Anyway, yeah, I'm muttering to myself. Hello, everybody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Happy Thursday. I don't know. I don't know why it's not showing up. But this is the Cleaning Business Profits group. It's showing up on my phone. Look, I can see it here, but I can't see it on my computer. So we'll just ignore that. Happy Friday. Happy Thursday, day before Friday. Why is it we all look forward to Fridays, even the self-employed? It's kind of a crazy thing. So let's see here. Let me just put this up here so I can read the comments as they come through. And let me turn down the volume so there's no reverb. I see Deborah is in the house. Diana is here. Hello, Karen. Bickford, great to see you. Who else is here? Anyway, it's so great to see you guys. So I was reading a post earlier and I thought, well, this would make a great topic for tonight's live broadcast. So I'll give others a chance to get in here, and let me read off a couple of announcements. For those of you who have been wanting to start CBF, those of you who have had a strategy session in the past, or you know the cost, I mean, it's like $1,900 down and $589 a month until it is paid for. It is several $1,000s, but those of you that want to get started in the CBF program, I actually have several small private groups that are launching here at the end of May. So please reach out to us if you're thinking now is the time. I want to be in one of those groups, and I want to fix my business. So if you are not able to take advantage of this unbelievable cleaning business economic boom, then you are losing money by not learning how, right? So a lot of people think of the cost of a program or a training. They think of the cost. Oh, he says I'm in the grads group. Interesting. But I'm live streaming, Jonathan, in multiple groups. So I'm also live streaming in the profits group. I can see it on my phone. I just can't see it on the let's see here. Yeah, I'm in the profits group too. I'm on StreamYard. Jonathan sent me a note that said, "Hey, you're live streaming in the grads group." But you know, a lot of people don't calculate the cost of not knowing how to fix the pieces of their business that's working against them. Thanks, Jonathan. He's always got my back. I know I've sent him a few text messages while he was live, but people don't calculate the lost opportunity cost in their business. They might think about, oh, the cost of a course or the cost of getting on a plane and getting a hotel and attending CBF Live. Oh my goodness, that might cost me $1,500 or $2,000, depending on where you're traveling from. And so a lot of people they calculate the cost of learning how to fix their business, how to grow their business, but they don't calculate the cost to not knowing how to fix the problems, right? So they just think they're saving themselves money when the truth is, if you have things that are working against you in your business that are holding you back from hitting the $1 million mark or from doubling your sales or tripling your sales, if those things are holding you back, it's literally costing you tens of thousands of dollars, and in most cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost opportunity cost. I talk to people all the time, been in business 12, 15, 16, 18 years. Their business is still not at $1 million, right? And they make all these excuses for why it's not, but they're in a good market. It's not like they're out in the country where there are no customers. They're in a good market. It's like, so what is the cost if you could have been at $1 million 5 years ago, right? What's the cost to you if you're still at 500,000 or 300,000, right? So calculate the cost. If you could have been at $1 million in revenue 5 years ago, but you were like, oh, I'm going to save myself some money and figure it out on my own. And you've been stuck at $500,000, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. The cost to you to not know how to get the business from $500,000 to $1 million is $500,000 a year, every year that you're not there, that you could have been. That's the cost. People don't calculate the lost opportunity cost. That's $2.5 million in lost opportunity cost. I calculate that if I had said 25, 27, probably 28 years ago now, if I had said, oh, I can't afford that, when I was quoted $40,000 for consulting for a firm to come in and fix my business, which was a complete wreck. If I had said, I can't afford that, which I couldn't, you really think 28 years ago, I could afford $40,000 to hire consultants? Back then, you got to remember, no Zoom, no online, no virtual training. They had to literally fly a team of experts to my office from Chicago, Illinois. I had to pay for their airfare, their hotel, and their consulting fees. It cost me $40,000. They came in to my business and worked with me day and night for 2 straight weeks. And we tore into my business. And by the time that ended, I was $40,000 in debt. And I had a system that I knew was going to make me a fortune. They were worth every penny, but I didn't have the money. Imagine if I had said, like most people say to something that's $5 or $6 or $7 or $8,000. Imagine if I had said, oh, I can't afford that, right? I've made over $30-40 million since that time. Well, probably closer to 30 million. I've made over $30 million because they showed me what I was doing wrong. I did so many things right that I had convinced myself I can figure it out. I can figure it out. I can figure it out. Till one day I woke up and said, I can't figure it out. I'm going to go bankrupt. I'm going to close my doors. I hate my business. I'm going to lose my mind. If this doesn't work, I'm closing. I'm out. Right? But I believed it would, or I wouldn't have spent the money. So I found a way, right? You can find an excuse or you can find a way. Every one of us can, right? If your car broke down tomorrow, you'd find a way to fix it, right? CBF is less expensive than a used car. Yet most people would think nothing of going and buying a used car, spending 20 or 30 grand, buying it on time. And every year you drive it, it is worth less. And every year you implement and follow the CBF formula, it's worth more. Ask our CBF coaches, ask our CBF members that's in this group, if that investment has 10x'd itself. For most, not all, for most, their investment 10x'd itself, right? Most people have made $100,000 more as a result of following the CBF formula over the course of a year or 2 or 3. And many CBF members took that initial investment and turned it into a $1 million maid service and beyond. We actually have some that are already at 1.2, 1.5, $3 million, all because they follow the CBF formula. So why am I bringing this up? Because I want to ask you the $64,000 questions around residential cleaning. And there was a post that I saw on Facebook earlier that prompted me to send out this this live broadcast for this particular topic. And I thought, oh, this is the perfect topic to talk about at this time of the year. Why? We are in the biggest cleaning business economic boom I have ever seen. Hey, Jeannie from Kalamazoo. We're in the midst of the biggest cleaning business economic boom I've ever seen. And people, I'm old. I've been around a long time. I've seen it all. I mean, I started my business 39 years ago. I hate to even admit that. It makes me sound so stinking old, but I was only 10, right, when I started. But I've seen it all. I've seen the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the crises, the disasters, the floods, 9/11, the recession, Black Monday. You guys know about Black Friday. I'm talking Black Monday when the stock market crashed and people were committing suicide. I mean, I've seen it all in 39 years, but I have never seen the boom like I've seen it this last few months. And yeah, what goes up must come down. What goes up will come down, right? But how are you scooping up all that extra business and growing to the next level during the cleaning business economic boom? And are you just growing a little bit or are you growing a ton? I mean, my business now has over 610 recurring customers. That's just the recurring ones on our books that use us week after week, either weekly, biweekly, or monthly. 610 recurring. Our run rate is now $2 million. I know a thing or two about running a cleaning business. And I'm usually not quite this blunt, but I just see so many people missing out on this opportunity that we have right now. And it's not going to last, right? I mean, recessions come, economic booms come, crises come and go. I mean, stuff happens all the time. You know, never wait for everything to calm down and be perfect because it's never going to happen. But learn how to ride the wave during the economic boom, and then how to thrive, not survive, thrive during a recession while your competitors are falling apart. How do you thrive? I grew my business in the last recession that we had back in 2009. My business grew when a lot of people around me were falling apart. And it takes experience. I know Jeannie's writing 610 recurring customers. They're going to have some kind of a party at my office to celebrate that we finally broke the 600 barrier. That's what we've been trying to break for a while. So anyway, I don't want to see you miss out on this unbelievable opportunity to make more money and live better. Entrepreneurs have the greatest opportunity in the world, in the United States, to create their own future and to create their own destiny. Entrepreneurs. It's hard to do that when you work for other people. I'm not saying you can't, and some people do, but it's hard to do that when you work for other people. But when you work for yourself, you have the greatest opportunity in the world, if you're in the US, to create your own future. And literally, the sky's the limit of what you can do with this business and beyond. And just ask our CBF coaches. They never dreamed they'd be making the kind of income they make today. They got their business to $1 million following the CBF formula. Many of them just a few years ago were still out in the field doing the cleaning themselves. We're not talking businesses that already were large like mine. These are cleaning companies that were as small or smaller than yours watching this live broadcast that have already hit the $1 million mark. Several of them got their green jackets at CBF Live back in April when we held our event. Several of them will be getting their green jackets on stage. And if you're like, what's the green jacket? That's what CBF members get and hit the $1 million mark. So we can recognize them, kind of like the Masters jacket. But several of them got their green jackets at CBF Live because they finally hit the $1 million mark. And that's after a year of a pandemic. Those that are still struggling, those that are still complaining their business is still broken or is still small or shrunk backwards because of the pandemic, it's time to move on. It's time to stop using that as an excuse. That excuse is gone. If your business isn't growing during the busiest boom I've ever seen, it's only because it's broken. And we can help you with that. So let's talk about this $64,000 question. Cars or no cars? Cars or no cars? So I've thought about this over the years. I've thought a lot about it. And many of you that are familiar with the CBF formula. So Cleaning Business Fundamentals is actually a formula and a system for operating a residential cleaning business. The focus and the emphasis is on high profits and high quality of life for the owner, right? That's where the focus is. So I don't care how much money you're bringing in the door. I care about how much are you getting to keep, right? So if you bring in a lot of revenue, but there's very little left over to pay you well, what's the point? Or if you're bringing in a lot of revenue, but you work like a dog 7 days a week, evenings, nights, weekends, everything, then what's the point? So our formula emphasizes high quality of life, meaning freedom, time, freedom, and high revenues and high profits. That's the point to me of a business. What's the point in being in business if all the profit is eaten up by the expenses and the overhead of the business? There is no point. You might as well go work for somebody else and have no stress. Right? So the CBF formula is all about high profits and high quality of life, meaning time freedom. Now, I've been an absentee owner from my residential cleaning business for over 12 years. And before that, I was partially an absentee owner. I just didn't know what to do with myself. I could have been an absentee owner before that because I have a business model that lends itself to being a self-running model if you follow it to a T and you don't change anything. So I'm going to address the cars versus no cars issue. So for me, the car issue, buying vehicles, wrapping them and filling them with employees to drive all over town, that's one model, right? You can put 2 people in a car, you can put 3 people in a car, you can put 4 people in a car. The Maids oftentimes uses teams of 4, right? They got the bright yellow car and the bright blue logo, and they put 4 people in these little yellow cars. That's the Maids. And then Maid Brigade, I think they usually use teams of 2. The Cleaning Authority, I think they use teams of 3. I'm not 100% sure on that. But so that's one concept, is you buy vehicles, you maintain them, you gas them, you put the tires on them, you change the oil, you wash and clean them inside and out, you wrap them, of course, for marketing, that's a cost, and you fix and repair them, and you insure them, and you replace them when they get totaled in a wreck, and you have to park them, right? So you have to have an office space. If you grow, you have to have an office space with enough parking to park a fleet of 10 or 12 or 15 cars. You'll rarely see a maid service with more than 10 to 12 cars, right? Because it's very hard to grow much bigger because of all the overhead. Now, there are some that have cars, but not too commonly are they very large. And so that's one model, right? It's what I call a very high overhead model. Now, there's a lot of visibility and there's a lot of pride, right? So you kind of feel important when your cars are rolling all over town with your logo on it. But what nobody else knows is you're not making much because it's costing you a fortune to make that possible. And so it is a high overhead model to furnish employees with cars. You got to park them, you got to maintain them, you have to clean them, you have to insure them, you have to wrap them, and then you have to fill them with teams because it doesn't make sense to buy a car and put one person in it. So it doesn't make sense. You've got to fill cars with teams to make the cost of the car cost effective. It's still not cost effective, but most people put 3 people in a car to help them not end up having to buy so many cars. Then there's another model, right? There's another model where people drive their own car and they work in teams, or people drive their own car and they work solo. That's another model. So cars versus employees who drive their own. Now, I just kind of gave you kind of the dark and dirty side of buying cars, owning a fleet of cars. It's expensive. It's expensive overhead. So here's the thing. You can't charge more than me because you have cars. Like, customers aren't saying, oh, I'll pay more because they have a nice car that's parked in my driveway. They won't pay you more because your overhead is higher. If 50 an hour is the going rate in your market, they're going to pay you 50 an hour if you have a fleet of cars. They're going to pay you 50 an hour if your employees drive their own car. The market won't pay you more because your overhead is higher. So remember that. So you can't charge more. So where does the money come from if you have to maintain vehicles? Well, it can only come from 2 other places because the customer's not going to pay for it, right? You can't say, well, we're going to charge you $20 more per hour because we have cars. No, customer won't pay for it. So who pays for it? There's only 2 other people in your company that can pay for that car. You guys know who it is. Who is it? There's only 2 more people who can pay for that car. You, the owner, out of the owner's income and profit, or the employee by low wages. That's it. That's the only other place you can get the money from, right? Most cleaning companies have opted for trying to get the employees to pay for the cars, right? By paying them very low wages. It's not a great model, right? We get what we deserve. If we pay low, we attract the wrong kind of people. So it's a very difficult model to grow and scale your business with. Here's the other problem with cars. Because you have to have teams in a car, it takes more customers to fill up one new team. So if you want to add a team, and let's say you're putting 3 people in a car, and you want to grow and add a team, you've got to hire 3 people and get them trained. You have to buy a vehicle and wrap it. And then you have to do enough marketing to attract enough customers to fill the schedules of 3 people on staff, not 1, 3. So you have to, it's a challenge to balance, hiring enough people, training enough people, adding a car, wrapping it, and adding enough customers. So here's what usually happens. Most owners can't do that balancing act. So to add a team, they're going to have a lot of extra out-of-pocket expense because they're going to buy a car. They're going to try to fill it with 3 people. Maybe they only have 2, but they're working on getting a 3rd. And because you have 3 people driving around to multiple locations, because the bigger the team, the more jobs they have to drive to for the day to even make sense, they're all going to be on hourly in most cases. There's going to be more windshield time. That's time you pay your cleaners, but it's time customers aren't paying you, right? So there tends to be more windshield time. So that means time on the clock where you're not generating revenue, right? So you have more time on the clock. You're not generating as much revenue, and you've got to really hustle to get enough customers to get a new team busy. And what generally happens is you just don't have enough customers for that new team to fill their schedule, so they don't have a full schedule. They're driving around with your car. They're in a team. They milk the clock. They milk the clock. They can't help it, right? You only give them 3 houses. If there's 3 people in a team and they only have 3 houses, trust me, they're going to work slow, especially if they're hourly. So there's so many problems built in. Where did the whole car concept come from? I've thought about this a lot. I really think that a lot of us independent cleaning companies, people like myself, people like many of you, started out cleaning houses on our own, right? We worked by ourselves. We were 100% profitable, but we saw the franchises. We're like, ooh, I want to be like them, big and professional and known all over town. So we copied the franchises. And I think the car concept came from the franchises. Who does it mostly benefit? When the franchise has a wrapped car like Maids or Maid Brigade or the Cleaning Authority, who does that mostly benefit, right? We think it benefits the individual franchisee, but they're struggling to make a living. They're struggling to make a profit. Not only do they have the high overhead cost of cars, but they have royalties that they're paying. I'll tell you who it benefits. It benefits the franchisor, the big company who's in Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, and they sell franchises. Because if those cars are rolling all over town, there's greater visibility, marketing, and branding for the franchise. Makes their business easier. It makes it easier for them to sell another franchise because people see those cars all over town. So I really think the concept probably came from the franchise world, and it works for the franchisor. It doesn't necessarily work for the franchisees who are trying to eke out a profit and trying to make a living and trying to scale their business. So you can tell I'm biased against trying to scale your business with a fleet of cars. It's so much simpler to scale your business without a fleet of cars. And you ask Rosemary Stater, she's been in our CBF program and she's been in our CBF advanced tier now for several years. And she says they're making more money than they've ever made. And when she joined CBF, I don't know, probably 3-4 years ago, when she joined CBF, she was ready to quit. She was ready to throw in the towel, sell her cars and close her business. She was fed up. I think she had 6 or 7 cars, which meant teams and wraps and maintenance and everything else. And she said the happiest day practically of her entire cleaning business career was when she took the CBF training and discovered, I don't need these cars. They're costing me money. They're not making me money, right? Everything you do in this business should make you money, not cost you money. It should make you money. Employees don't cost me money. They make me money, right? A lot of people don't see it that way because it isn't set up that way. Their employees cost them money. My employees make me money. And she realized her cars were costing her money, and she turned her cars into cash. She sold her cars, went with the solo CBF model, and now she makes more money, more profit than she's ever made before. And she sold off all those cars, had a bunch of cash in the bank. And she said the best part is because they're in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. She said when they have horrible snow days, she doesn't wake up in the morning knowing, we have to go out and chip snow and ice off of a whole bunch of cars. She said that's the best part. And I forgot all the things she posted, but it was pretty cool about how she doesn't have to clean and repair these cars and change the oil. And the best part was that she doesn't have to chip snow off the windshields in the winter of a fleet of 6 or 7 or 8 cars. And I thought, man, I never even thought of that. I'm thinking more of the cost, but I wasn't thinking about the quality of life that is diminished. She also said she never has to wait for a team who's working late to come back and turn in their car, right? She can close the office at 4:00 and be done for the day. They're driving their own car. They just go home. Anyway, there's so many benefits to not having a fleet of cars. Now, a lot of people have cars. They have fleets of cars because they're trying to solve another problem. Right? It's kind of like the whack-a-mole game, right? You whack a mole, another mole pops up. You whack that mole and another mole pops up. You whack that mole and another mole pops up, right? So most people are trying to solve a problem that they couldn't solve, so they go out and buy cars. You know, it's like, oh, employees who don't have a car, or this good employee's car broke down. And so they're trying to solve another problem, and then they just create another bigger problem for themselves. So just selling your cars doesn't mean your business is going to work. You're still going to have a broken business where you're attracting all the wrong employees who aren't going to drive their own car, right? So you do have to have an entire formula that works within a specific model, right? So it's like you can't just dip your toe in. If you're going to do it, you got to go all in, right? So when Rosemary sold her fleet of cars, she had to go all in. She couldn't just say, well, I'll just follow this part of the CBF model, but not this part. Well, it wouldn't have worked. No, she went all in. She sold the cars. She separated her teams from 3-person teams to 1-person teams. She raised their pay, raised their prices, fixed her business, and now her employees stay longer. She attracts better people and she makes more money and has less hassle. So the whole thing works together as a formula. You can't just pick and choose what you do. It's like anything else, right? If you go on a diet and you're like, well, I'm only going to do half of this diet, you're not going to lose the weight, right? Or if you join a gym and you're like, well, I'm just going to go 1 day a week instead of 3 days a week, you're not going to get physically fit. You kind of got to go all in if you're going to do it at all. Kind of like the keto diet, right? Those of you who've taken the keto diet or been on the keto diet, and it's like high fat, it's protein. There's no carbs, no bread, no potatoes, no rice. If you go on the keto diet, in order for your body to go into ketosis and lose weight, you can't just say, well, I'm going to have a keto dinner, but at lunch, I love me a good sandwich with my bread, right? You'll never go into ketosis. CBF is kind of like, if you want to go into CBF ketosis, you have to go all in. But when you go all in, you make more money and you live better. That's a good trade-off. It's like nobody's saying, oh, make all these changes and, oh, it's painful and horrible. No, make all these changes and make more money and live better. That's the whole point of owning your own business. Make more money and live better. Isn't that the whole point? All right, Derek is here. There is no better time to do it. That's right. COVID was the perfect excuse to get rid of teams and used cars selling for the record high prices. That is so true, Derek. That is so true. Derek has talked to so many business owners that have kind of been secretly wanting to go solo, but they just, once you have an established business and a whole bunch of cars, it's kind of hard to make big changes, right? So Derek has talked to numerous businesses, and I've heard them live on other shows, other interview live broadcasts like on Facebook where they've shared this, that they use the pandemic as the perfect opportunity to go to the solo model and sell their cars. I am telling you, the solo cleaning model, the CBF formula that I've been teaching and following for years that got my business to $1 million and hands-free, the CBF formula, you'll very rarely meet $1 million plus maid service, and mine is $2 million now. You'll almost never meet $1 million maid service where the owner isn't pretty much grinding it out like a maniac. I mean, once in a while you'll meet them, but it's rare, right? Usually the price that owners pay to have a very high volume maid service, the price they pay is they work a lot. I don't step foot in my office to work in the operations. I do coach my COO, and I do attend our level 10 meetings a couple of times a month, but I don't spend 3 hours a month in my business, and I never cover any of the day-to-day operations, even when the office manager is on vacation. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm talking about the potential that exists with the CBF formula. The reason I have a hands-free $2 million business, I've been an absentee owner for a dozen years, over 12 years. I've been 100% absentee, where I do not go in. I don't hire, I don't fire, I don't hire the admin team. I don't fire the people that work in the office or hire them. I don't hire or fire the employees. Why? I have the simplest, most profitable model that I follow and teach in the world. And I challenge anybody with a better model than the CBF formula. Anybody, I welcome the challenge, right? I mean, sure, there are other great models out there, but probably not going to have a hands-free business owner, right? In all likelihood, unless there's something very unique about that individual. This model with no cars to worry about and to deal with. Well, I'm not scraping ice off the windows in the winter, right? I can be an absentee owner because my model is simple. It isn't complicated. All these other models create so many layers of complexity in a business. It makes it so hard to get to 1 million or to get to 1 million to 2 million. And I'm not saying some don't. There are not a lot, because very tiny percentage, like less than 1% of all maid services in the United States are at 2 million, less than. And less than 2% of all maid services in the United States ever get to 1 million, right? So it's uncommon in the first place, but the ones that do make it to 1 million or 2 million almost always have a very hardworking or two owner, hardworking, like a husband and wife team that are working like dogs. My husband doesn't work in my business. I don't work in my business, and it is truly a self-running business. One of the reasons is I've removed that complexity of cars. So it's not just about the car. It's about the gas prices that are rising, the gas lines when the pipeline is hacked, right? It's about cleaning the car. It's about wrapping the car. It's about repairing the car. It's about changing the tires or rotating the tires or fixing the dents or cleaning the inside of the car. It's never ending. No, thank you. No, thank you. I don't want to be a slave to my business. I don't ever want my business to run me. If my business ever were to go back to running me like it used to, I'm out. I'm out. I don't want my business to run me. And the more complexity we have in our business, the more it's likely to run our lives. And that's just not fun. So the $64,000 question, cars or no cars? If you have cars, you kind of have to have teams. If you have teams, you should be doing more houses and driving to more locations in a single day. And if you're doing that, it's kind of hard to put people on commission because there's too much windshield time. It's just not right. It's not even morally or ethically right to have people driving all over town on their own time, right? And so if you have cars, you have to have teams. If you have teams, you're probably going to have a hard time paying commission. I'm not saying you can't. Some do, but it's a little bit hard. Hence, so many that have teams also pay hourly. And if you have no cars, then you can use the solo model. So you have less windshield time. Most of their time is spent cleaning, not driving. There is more autonomy, but you do have to hire only A players, right? So if you don't have cars and you have solo cleaners, you have to learn how to fill your company with A players. So there's the Achilles heel. So many cleaning companies have no idea how to fill their company with all A players. You guys know what I'm talking about an A player. I don't have to define that for you. You know what an A player is, right? And most cleaning companies have to settle for 2 C players and maybe 1 A player. Like the A player is the team leader and the driver, and then there's 2 knuckleheads, right? Most cleaning companies have to settle for 2 C's and 1 A. For every 3 people they have on staff, 1 is really good and 2 are mediocre, right? I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. So with my model, right, this whole model fits together like a glove. With my model, no cars, solo cleaners. That means every person that works for me has to be a team leader. Every person that works for me is autonomous. Every person that works for me has to be an A player. Guess what? That raises my quality of life as an owner. I'm not spending half my day putting out fires that have been started by all my C players. Now, I'm not saying my A players don't show up as a C player every now and then. We don't have a perfect business, but I am saying that our model attracts and retains A players, which makes quality of life more likely for the owner. It reduces complexity. It reduces headache and heartache. So I am completely committed to the solo model. And here's some proof that goes beyond just Debbie Sardone, who thinks she knows it all. Here's some proof. Maids. Probably, I'm going to say arguably, Derek, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say arguably the most successful franchise in the United States for residential cleaning, Maids. They have more franchise units than any other franchise model. I think Molly Maids and The Maids are, pretty close second, but Maids is the biggest. And they do not require their franchisees to provide vehicles to their cleaning teams. Maids, not too many years ago, I'm going to say probably about a decade ago, announced that they permit solo cleaning in their model because they don't buy vehicles. They require their staff to drive their own. And even though their traditional model was 2-person teams, not 3, not 4, 2. They also announced to their franchisees that if you choose the solo model, you have permission. Biggest franchise in the world that I'm aware of for residential. Definitely the biggest franchise in the United States. So if Maids, with all the risk, right, the target on their back to be sued, all the franchises that they basically are responsible for, making sure that their methods are sound. If Maids would allow no cars and solo cleaners, there's something to it. So I pay attention to these things. So, oh, Jeannie's so sweet. Debbie Sardone knows everything about the cleaning business. Well, probably not everything. If you ask me which was the best floor cleaner on the planet, I would tell you I don't have a clue. Probably Clean from Speed Cleaning. But if you ask me what was the best tool to clean the grout with, I would have to beg off and say, I don't know. Or what's the best vacuum? I don't know. So I don't know everything, but I do know a lot about how to make a lot of money in the cleaning business, right? And our CBF coaches know how to make money in the cleaning business. Do you want to clean good, or do you want to make a lot of money in the cleaning business? So that's what we show people how to do. And the reason why I'm talking about this is we have several openings in some small groups that we've launched that are going to start here at the end of May. And if you should be in that group, if you're willing to put down $1,900 down and pay $589 a month for 10 months, you could be in the group, right? That's cheaper than a used car, people. Somebody said to me the other day, and sometimes I think I get a little snarky and I have to watch myself, but Derek says many of the franchises have quietly walked away from cars, Maid Pro and the Maid Brigade too. I didn't know that about Maid Brigade, right? So Maid Brigade really took a lot of pride in wrapping their cars, but that model doesn't work. And I started to say something about the pandemic, so don't let me forget, guys, about how incredibly pandemic friendly or post-pandemic friendly my solo model is, right? And I got sidetracked that so many business owners use the pandemic as their excuse to go solo. Hello, it is the ultimate social distancing cleaning business model. It's incredible. So anyway, I got myself all sidetracked again. What was I about to say? Oh, Angela says it will blow your mind. Oh, Angela, they are a poster child for success. When I talk to, Angel, or I'm thinking of Angel Dersler and Lynn Malone, but they got their green jackets at CBF Live in April. That means they hit the $1 million mark. They had been trying for years to get to the $1 million mark, and they couldn't. They were stuck at that typical threshold that most cleaning businesses get stuck at. And it really did cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. They couldn't figure it out. They took the CBF formula. They followed it to a T. They got to work with Coach Jonathan on marketing and Coach Libby on hiring and strategies. They followed the CBF formula that made all the changes. And I think it's been less than a year they got to the $1 million mark. Now, not everybody is going to achieve that level of success that quickly, but I'm saying the model works so well that if you already have the potential, you're actually leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by not fixing your mess. I had a mess to fix. I had to fix it. So, where was I going with this? Cars versus no cars. There are so many reasons why in the residential cleaning world, it actually holds you back from growing your business. If you are saddled to the mentality that you have to provide vehicles, you have to wrap them, you have to park them, you have to clean them, you have to fix them. Oh my word, my head hurts just thinking about all the work that's involved. Derek says, I never thought of that. Used cars are selling for record amounts. Yes. So join CBF, sell the cars. Oh, I know what I was about to talk about was the cost, right? Sell your cars and you could pay full. I mean, one stinking used car would pay for this program, right? Oh, somebody said to me the other day, that's kind of expensive, right? When I told them the cost of CBF. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys right now. I don't usually like to say this out loud because some people's heads explode, but it's $7,788. I mean, give me a break. That's less than a used car, right? I mean, you can buy a $10,000 or a $20,000 used car, and most people do. And every year you drive it, it's a piece of junk. It becomes nothing. It has no value. Every year I've driven the model I paid for 28 years ago, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars more than I paid for the program. right? So for $1,900 down and $589 a month, if you don't believe that you can go out and get enough business to cover an extra $589 a month, then you know you're just not going to try and you shouldn't join, right? Anybody that wants to fix their business can find $1,900 to put down and make payments of $589 a month for 10 months. Anybody can. But here's what happens. You ask Angel and Lynette, did they 10X their investment when they paid almost $8,000 for this program? And yeah, they had to put it on multiple credit cards. They told that story from the stage. They were like, we didn't have the money, right? Their business was hurting. Their business was big, but it wasn't making any money, right? And she said, you know what? It was embarrassing. I had to say, Audrey, put $200 on this credit card and put $500 on this credit card, and in a couple of days I'll have more money and you can put $1,000 on. I mean, they were being honest, right? People don't come to CBF when they're doing well. Nobody does. I didn't go to that consulting firm because I was doing well. I went to that consulting firm because I was ready to close my doors. I wasn't getting paid enough for all the effort that I was putting in. I was operating in the red and not getting all my paychecks, right? I was having to go without being paid too many times in a month or a couple of month period. And so nobody comes to CBF when they're doing well. And so somebody said to me the other day, oh, that's kind of expensive. And I couldn't help myself, but it just came out. I was like, compared to what? Compared to what? When somebody says $7,800 to learn how to make $1 million in one of the most prolific industries you could possibly be in, $7,800, and somebody says that's expensive, all I can think of is compared to what? Compared to a car that's going to be worth less every year you drive it? No. Compared to a year of college? No. Compared to a $100 ebook? Yeah. Right? It's like, compared to what? People take family vacations and spend $5,000 or more, right? They come back refreshed. They had a great time, but it's gone, right? So I have to ask anybody who says that's expensive, compared to what, right? To show me how to create a six-figure income for myself. That means earning over $100,000 after all bills are paid, wages and everything. Being able to earn over $100,000 when I don't have a college education, right? I mean, I make more money than some doctors in town, people, right? To have a formula that will show me how to make a six-figure income and climbing for the rest of my life. If $7,800 is expensive, all I can say is compared to what? So I don't mean to be snarky, but I 10x'd my $40,000 investment when I hired the George S. May company over, 25 years ago. I 10x'd my investment the first year. My company grew $400,000 in the 9 months period since hiring those consultants because they showed me the broken pieces. I had a lot of things I was doing right. And that's part of our problem as business owners. We're focused on all the things we do right. No, focus on the things you're not doing right. And let's fix those and your business will blow up like crazy. So that $40,000 investment, even though it took me years to pay it off, I 10x'd it in 9 months. I went from 600,000, which I had been stuck at, and I was declining instead of growing, to $1 million in 9 months. Why? Because I fixed the broken pieces. I stopped patting myself on the back for all the things I was doing right because they weren't helping me get to $1 million. And I paid attention and I listened and I learned about the things that I was doing that was actually working against me, that would guarantee I would never hit $1 million. And I changed them. Now, since that time, I've had the benefit of, 28 years of practice and learning and refining and pivoting and tweaking and getting better as a business owner. So since that time, I've gotten better than the program that I actually bought to show me how to fix what was broken, right? and now I'm able to share that with people, and sure, don't pay $40,000. I would have paid $100,000 for the knowledge I have. I would have. And I would be willing to bet that any of our CBF members that have gotten to $1 million, if I said, I'll double your investment. I'll give it back to you double if we could go back in time and you never made the changes that you made. You never learned how to get to where you are today. I don't believe any of them would even take triple or quadruple back, right? If I said, I'll give you $100,000 and we'll go back in time and you never took CBF and you're exactly where you were, I don't think any of them would take 100,000. The ones that have implemented and have reached that level of success that they wanted, right? Many of them were cleaning. They were cleaning when they found CBF. So I'm a big advocate of no cars. I am a huge advocate of solo model. In a post-pandemic world, it is the best tool of differentiation that we can rub salt in the wounds of our competitors. I don't mean to be mean, but we can, by saying, yeah, we're different. We don't send teams of sweaty people that have been sitting in tight proximity in a car into your home. How powerful is that? Now, obviously, we're not quite that crude, but that's the message we're able to send. The message that I was able to send to my customers when the pandemic blew up a year ago was, the good news is we don't have to change our business model. We've been operating with the solo cleaning model, which is COVID-19 friendly, the whole time we've been in business. So you can be rest assured we will not be sending a team of people into your home. We'll be sending one. And I believe that one model, who could have ever known, right? That one model allowed us to maintain the majority of our customers and our cleanings during the height of the pandemic last year, when we were all losing customers over it, like April and May, right? I think we lost like 65 customers during that time, but I've grown way past where I was last year, way past 610 recurring customers, a $2 million run rate after a horrible pandemic. If you're not growing, if you're not increasing, if you're not improving, if you don't have a formula that attracts better staff, players, and retains them long term, it's just that your business is broken. The market isn't broken. It's not the government's fault. It's not the stimulus check fault. It's not the lazy people out there who don't want to work fault. It's the fault of a broken system that just doesn't work. It's outdated. It doesn't work. We'll show you how to turn your business into a stinking cash cow. Now, I'm not saying everything is perfect. Every one of our coaches still run their businesses. I'm sure they have days they want to pull their hair out, but very few. And used to, it was almost every day, and now it's almost never. None of us have perfect businesses. I have the luxury of just hearing about it when there's a perfect business. My COO, his very first day to take over after my office manager retired on April 29th, his very first day to take over, April 30th. He had to fire a key person in the office. It's like, well, welcome to being the boss, Tim. I didn't have to deal with it. I just got a text that said, I just asked so-and-so to leave. So here's the thing, guys. Cars are part of your problem. It's not the only problem. There's like 4 other things you have to fix. There's 5 things in this business that have to work. So there's like 4 other things I'm looking at my text here. That have to work. So I'm not saying this is the one thing, go sell your cars. In fact, I wouldn't want to do that to you, right? Because if you don't have the whole formula, you'll just sell your cars and then create another problem. But like Derek said, cars are selling like hotcakes right now because you can't find a used car. So now's the time to sell those cars and just pay this program off. Shoot, if I were you, I'd pay for 2 years. So you're a CBF lifer. But it is the best business in the world. Those of you who have added the layer of complexity to your business of vehicles, you've created a bigger headache and a bigger monster than is worth managing. Let me just read this text real quick. Oh, I'll text you in just a little bit, dear. So here's the thing, guys. Some of you are like, Debbie, how do I join? How do I join? First and foremost, there's no place on my website you can click and sign yourself up to my program. We are very selective about who can come in, and it's not anything other than I don't want your money if you can't succeed. That's really it. We want to work with people who can succeed. So here's a couple of things before you even consider applying to be in our program. Number one, you have to be ready to put down the mop. We will show you a 90-day plan to transition out of the field strategically where the owner never cleans. Now, we're not saying you have to stop within 90 days, but we want you to have the mindset that you're willing to give it a try. If you need 4 months, 6 months, if you need a year, that's your business. It's not mine, but we are looking to work with people who don't want to do the cleaning. We want to work with people who want to build an empire, not clean a toilet. Some people are not ready to give up the cleaning, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not ready for my program if you're not ready to also transition out of the field. We will show you how to do that without losing customers and losing money. So you have to be ready to get out of the field. Number two, you got to be willing to put down $1,900. Don't waste my time or a CBF coach's time by talking to us, telling us how much you want to do it, and then saying, oh, but I can't. Then wait and contact us later. Right? So you've got to be willing to start now if you want to talk to us now. And the third thing is you need to be willing to follow a formula of business, not just pick and choose, because you won't get as much success as we know you can have. Now, I have had people just pick and choose a few things and not follow the whole formula, and they did improve their business enough to more than pay themselves back for their investment. So I'm okay with that, but we really prefer to work with somebody who's ready to just blow it up big, right? I want to help you get to $1 million. I want to show you how to create a time freedom business if that's the business you're ready for. I want to show you how to do that. So you do need to be ready. You need to be financially ready. Don't want you to put a burden or a hardship on your family. Now, here's how you can book a strategy session where we talk with you, me or one of our coaches, where we talk with you. You will have to fill out an owner survey so we can kind of get a feel for your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, that's okay. It just tells me you don't know your numbers. But it will, just fill out a short owner survey so we understand your business a little bit. We will meet with you. You'll book a calendar link. We will meet with you. And if we're both a good fit, if I feel like you can succeed in our program and you feel confident that you will succeed in our program, then we can let you enroll and you can literally join one of our groups that's starting at the end of the month. So here's how you can do this. One of our coaches can post a link and you can book a session with one of our coaches, no charge, or you can go to cleaningbusinessfundamentals.com. and you can fill out the survey there, and then it will take you to a calendar link to talk to me or one of my coaches. Just please don't waste your time and hours if you're not going to enroll, if you're accepted and you're like later. But you can reach out to one of our coaches and you can book a session with them, or you can go to cleaningbusinessfundamentals.com, fill the form out there and book a session with me. Now, right now, my calendar is backed up. Somebody booked a session earlier today, and wonder why my computer is dying. Oh, I didn't have my cord plugged in. And the earliest she could get in to talk to me was May 26th. So I can manually bump you up on my calendar. So don't freak out if you book a calendar appointment. It's like, oh no, she can't talk to me till June. I need this now. Or she can't talk to me till the end of May. I need this now. Just go through the form process, fill out the owner survey, book your calendar appointment, and then we'll manually contact you and say, hey, I can talk to you tonight or I can talk to you tomorrow. We'll manually move you. So that's what happened. The lady that booked her session to talk to me, and it only offered her May 26th. I contacted her and said, you know what? I've got an opening tonight. I'll talk to you at 6. So I'm actually talking to her in 4 minutes. So if some of you that may have been talking to Jeannie here in this group, Jeannie can give you her link and she could talk to you, or you can go to cleaningbusinessfundamentals.com and fill out a form there and talk. There's no charge to talk to me. There's no charge. But when we do talk, I always offer a screaming deal that you're going to kick yourself if you're not ready to join because you don't get the offer the second time, right? So I always offer a nice screaming deal because I believe in rewarding people for being extremely decisive. So if you're not ready to join, wait and come back later when you are ready. We don't want to put a burden or a hardship on any company. All right, guys. So there's so much more I could share with you. I don't know why I got all hot and heavy around the whole cars, no cars. I just see so much suffering, so much cost, so many owners not making enough money and working too hard that I just had to jump on that bandwagon. I saw all those great comments from Derek and Rosemary, and there was somebody else that said, sold my cars, so happy. And so I thought that's a great topic for today. So Beatrice says, thanks, Debbie, for creating CBF and all the great coaches. That's right. We have amazing coaches that teach us all their knowledge. And I thank God for all of you. And we thank God for you, Beatrice. So awesome. So guys, I hope this was some good food for thought for you tonight, because this concept that I teach now, the CBF formula is what I call it now. This concept saved my business. And if it weren't for my business finally getting unstuck and working, there wouldn't be Cleaning for a Reason. We wouldn't have Speed Cleaning. I mean, there's so many great things that have come as a result of fixing my broken business and having the freedom to start a nonprofit, start a consulting business, the number one residential cleaning business consultant agency in the world, right? And it's all because I had a model that worked and allowed me to have freedom and income. And I'll show you how to do it as well. All right, guys, reach out to Derek, reach out to Jeannie, reach out to me, whoever. We'll have a strategy session with you. We'll talk to you about CBF, and maybe you'll be our next CBF rock star. All right, I'll let you go. I have another call in 2 minutes, and we'll talk to you later. Take care, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with me to the very end. I'm sure I struck a chord with somebody today. All right, take care, everyone.